Hi guys, welcome back. I wanted to talk about something that has been talked about on the channel a little bit with comments and stuff where guys are not really happy with technicians or mechanics or shops or what have you. And I just want to give you some advice. I mean, every place is different. You're going to have places that are good, you're going to have places that are bad, and that's just going to come from experience, word of mouth, that sort of thing. You have to find a shop that you trust. And I'm going to tell you something, and it's the truth, okay? There's no difference between a customer that walks in to my shop or me going someplace as a customer, okay? It's the same thing. Case in point, I'm going to tell you a story. My wife owns a 2017 Ford Focus that she bought new. When she was looking for the car, she was looking for a stick. They did not have this car in the options that she preferred, and she was offered a titanium edition automatic Focus at that point. She thought about it. She says, you know what? I'll buy the automatic. So she bought that car, and I was well aware that the automatics and the Focus and the Fiestas before that had issues with the transmissions, with the dual clutch setup in there, electronics and stuff. They had issues. I also know that personal friends of ours have those vehicles with the automatic from the years before, and they were never fixed. They were brought to dealers, they were never fixed right. I had done some research on my own. I couldn't find anything on the 17 at the time because it was a brand new model. I didn't know if they had updated something, changed things, fixed the problem, changed the trans. I didn't even know what it came with, okay, at that point. So I said, well, it's got a 5-year, 60,000 powertrain warranty. It is what it is. I mean, we'll see what happens. So she bought the car. Everything was fine. It drove good. She was happy with it. Fast forward about 10,000 miles or so on the car. I do the oil changes. I use the Ford, filters, oil, all that stuff. So about 10,000 miles or so on the car, and we went out one night to dinner. I drove, and I felt the car shuddering, and I asked her, I says, have you felt that? She goes, yeah, but she goes, the trans in this car always felt a little different. I wasn't sure if that was kind of normal, because it really wasn't bad. I picked up on it right away that it had a chatter, which I didn't like. So it wasn't real bad, but it was there, and I started to say, oh boy, here we go. So, I'm probably going to have an issue with this thing. I waited a while, a few weeks, a month, whatever, a couple months, I don't remember. And, the next time I think for the oil change that I drove the car, I felt it had gotten worse. So there's some procedures you could do through the scan tool for a relearn on the clutches and the shift points and all that stuff. I went through that. The car was fixed at that point, or at least, it felt fine at that point. It drove fine. About a month later, started to act up again, and once again, progressively got worse. So, the car is under warranty. I'm not going to go too far with it. I really don't do transmission work to begin with, and that car obviously has an issue. So, it's something that they have not sorted at this point. So I'm definitely not touching it. Beyond what I did with the scan tool, I'm done. So I called Ford, a local Ford dealer, my local Ford dealer, and I explained to them, because I do know them. I do know some of the people that work there, especially one technician that's still there that has been there for years, and I trust him to do the right thing for me. So when I called up, I specifically had requested that he gets to work on the car. There are horror stories about some of the things that have happened at this dealer with other techs, and I do not want them working on my wife's car, obviously, for obvious reasons. Again, know where you're going and know what you're dealing with, right? So I made a request that if I bring the car in, that he gets to work on it. I was absolutely denied that. I was told no. They don't do requests, which to me is retarded, because I have had I have had experience in for many years, and have been requested by customers that I work on their vehicle. I've also had other people in the shop that I worked with get requested to work on the customer's vehicle. So the customer needs to feel comfortable with the guy that's taking care of their car. So that right there was a red flag to me, and I asked her why is that? It's always been something that you could do, is request a tech. And she said, well, we don't do that. Whoever gets the RO gets the RO. I said, well, that's not good enough. All right. And she says, well, you're going to have to just drop the car off, and it's going to be 2 weeks, before we look at it. And I says, well, we need I said, okay. I says, 2 weeks before you check it, I said, can you tell me a day that the vehicle would be dropped off where it wouldn't be 2 weeks before you looked at it? And she goes, no, that's the way it works. You just drop it off, and when we get to it, we get to it. So I was like, wow. All right. She says, what's the complaint on the vehicle? Maybe you could wait for it. And that was the only nice thing actually that I heard from her. And I says, the complaint is that the trans is shuddering. And I said, it's a known issue with the car, for years now. And I thought that the 17 might not have had that problem, but apparently it does. And she says, oh no. She says, let me run the VIN, I'll check. And she runs the VIN and tells me that car doesn't have that issue. That's not, I'm probably feeling a misfire. So I says, okay. I said, I'm not feeling a misfire. It's a clutch chatter in the trans. I said, it's, 100% in the trans. And she goes, well, we're going to have to determine that. You're not a tech. I says, no, I actually am a tech. I used to work for Ford, and I own my own place, and I specialize in drivability and electrical. And I said, I'm not trying to be a jerk to you, but this is definitely not a misfire condition. It's a transmission condition, or transmission problem, rather, that's, that needs to be addressed. And I also told her the water pump on the car with now 20,000, about 20,000 miles on it is leaking, which she asked me, how could I possibly know that? I said, well, when you look and you see it leaking, it's kind of obvious. But she told me that they have to inspect everything, and they're going to make a decision on what they can fix and what they can't fix and what's under warranty. And I said, the car's completely under warranty. It's 5 years, 60,000 on the powertrain. We went back and forth. And I was basically hitting a brick wall with her, and I wasn't going to argue. I said, look, I said, the only request that I have, I said, is that this specific person works on the car. I said, I don't want anybody else touching it for obvious reasons with you guys. I said, I want him working on it. And she's, at that point actually was when she denied me, and she said, no, we don't do that. And I said, okay. I said, I'm done. I said, thank you for your time. I hung up. And I called a dealer that's about an hour away from me. I was recommended to them. See, this is what I was getting at. Talk to people that you know. Get recommendations. If you have people that rave about a place or that tell you that this is the place to go, you probably want to take a shot. I got a friend who goes to this dealership with his car. He lives about a half hour, I think, the other way from them, but he still, he goes there, and he highly recommended them. So I called up. I got a guy on the phone over there who was very, very nice to me right off the jump. You could see the difference in the professionalism and the way he was handling things. And, and he said to me, he said, he says, you're a technician? I says, yes. I said, I am. I says, but look, I said, I'm not going to tell you how to do your job. I said, I don't like when people come in my place and tell me how to do mine. I said, but I'm going to tell you what I have with the car, what I felt, and what I saw. So he says, fine. He goes, no problem. He goes, what do you have? I says, well, I feel a clutch chatter in the trans. And I said, the dealer close to me here told me that is not an issue with this car. It doesn't do that. And he kind of snickered a little bit. So I said, okay. I said, what do you think? I says, the water pump's leaking on the car. He goes, really? He said, okay. He said, no problem. And, I said, and it also needs an evap. It has a recall for evap. So at that point, he ran the VIN, and he goes, yes, you're 100% right. Please bring it in at your earliest convenience. And I said, okay. I said, I have to figure out one thing. I said, I know it's going to be up there for a few days at least. I need to figure out a car for my wife. We need to, figure out if we're going to rent the car or if her insurance will cover it. I'm not sure. And then I could call you back and make an appointment. And he goes, he goes, is that your only concern? I said, what do you mean? He says, you need a car for her to get to work. I says, yeah, she needs a car. So he goes, well, that's not an issue, man. He says, I'll have a car available Wednesday for you. Come up. Can you make it Wednesday? I said, that's perfect. He said, come up Wednesday. So we showed up. They gave us a brand new Escape. There was no issues, no nothing. They were on point with everything. He even went in the back and brought out his master tech, I guess who was the head in the shop, the head technician in the shop for them. Brought him out. The gentleman introduced himself, shook my hand. Thank you so much for coming to us and trusting us with your vehicle. Would you like to go for a ride so we can verify your concern so I can feel what you feel? I was like, wow, absolutely. I threw him the keys, went for a ride about 7 feet, in the parking lot, and he looked at me. He goes, "Oh, yeah, trans." I said, "Yeah." So he goes, they actually, he said, "What happened?" I said, "Well, they told me, locally that that's not the issue with the car." He said, "Okay." He said, "It absolutely is the issue with the car. Just like you thought, it's the clutches. There was a recent update again on these clutches. It's about 2 months old." He says, "I will fix it." And he said, "Your other concerns, the water pump and all that stuff." He says, "Did you see it leaking?" I said, "Yeah, it's definitely leaking." He says, "No problem." He said, I'll inspect the car for you. I'll change the pump. I'll put a new set of clutches in it that are updated. I'll reflash the PCM via the, per the TSB that's out. All the stuff, right? Everything's perfect." I says, "Listen," I said, "I'm not going to rush you." I said, "It is what it is." I said, "But I'm just curious what the, roughly what the turnaround is on something like this." He goes, "Well," he says, "probably," he said, "a few days." I said, "Really?" He says, "Oh yeah." He says, "It's not going to be, a week or anything like that." I was like, "Well, that's cool." So we left with the new Escape. He called me Monday. Car was dropped off Wednesday. He called me Monday evening when I was at home painting the walls in my house, and he says, "Car's done. Everything's perfect. It was road tested. Performs beautiful." He said, "I think you're going to be very happy with the outcome." Last night we shot out there, picked up the car. Absolutely no problems driving with the trans. It felt better actually than it was when it was new. It felt smoother, performed a lot better response-wise. I'm hoping that it's a permanent fix. I'm just going to keep my fingers crossed on that. But regardless, this isn't about that. This is about the level of service that you get from a certain place. And this is in anything. So, I get comments, especially recently, from some people that, are judging every shop and every technician as thieves and, you're robbing people with your parts prices and you're this and that. Guys, not everybody's the same. Wake up and think about it. Not everybody's the same. You cannot judge everybody in every industry by one or two shops' actions. You understand? And we get this in everything. Every industry deals with it, but technicians have a terrible rap. We overcharge. Our labor rate is too high. You lower your parts prices, lower your labor rate. It's insane to me because when you really break it all down and you think about it, for what we have to do and the equipment we have to have and all the stuff that we have to train for, the overhead for us is insane, okay? We do not charge we do not have our prices higher than they should be by any stretch. If anything, we're below what they should be, personally speaking, okay? As far as other places, I can't speak for them. I do know that places do price gouge. I get it. I get it. There's a lot of variables that go into things, though. My thing is service. You need to do the right thing for the customer. I try my hardest to always do that. Does everybody? Maybe not. Don't go to them. That's the best advice I could give you. Word of mouth, guys. Speak to your friends. Speak to your family members. What kind of car do you drive? Oh, you have a Ford too? What, who do you guys recommend for warranty work? Who do you guys recommend for repairs in the area? Talk to people. You'll be a lot happier in the end. And especially I believe in talking to people that I know. I don't like going online so much to try to, people go on forums and discuss this type of stuff, and you don't know the person. You don't know if somebody just doesn't like somebody and they're giving them a bad review or they're giving them a bad mouthing them. You really don't know or they're friends with them and they tell them, yeah, go to this guy, he's the best. You really don't know. Talk to people you trust and see who they trust. And that's how, you'll weed out bad businesses and you'll help the good businesses to stay in business. It's just all there is to it. Me personally, I'll go to All American Ford for anything that I have to go there for. I will absolutely not go to my local dealership for multiple reasons, which I won't get into, and I will not name who they are, but I know their practices, and I'll never deal with them. That's it. The most I'll do is order parts from them. That's about it. As far as having them service my vehicle or my wife's car, I wouldn't trust them as far as I could throw them. Personal experience. As far as you guys, find the shop that you trust. That's all I could tell you. I appreciate the support from you guys. I appreciate you guys listening to me, you know, on these kind of videos, and I also appreciate you guys watching the technical side of things that we do, and I hope that it helps some of you. And to the trolls that are out there, change the channel, man. I don't care if you watch me or not. I'm not here to you know, serve you guys and do exactly what you want me to do, and you know, tell you what you want to hear. If the truth hurts, I speak the truth. I'm not talking my opinion on some things. I'm talking truth, and the best thing for the customer is what I try to get across, and I try to help as much as I can. I'm not trying to make people spend more money than they should. I'm trying to save them money in the end. So if you're a troll, there's plenty of channels out there you can go troll. Leave me alone. I'm just going to stop responding or blocking you, and that'll be that. I appreciate all the support, guys, especially recently, like I said, and if you haven't already, don't forget to go on to the giveaway video and leave a comment if you want to win an amp pound, or a chance to win an amp pound, I should say. And you have to be in the States. Just check out the video. Thanks again. All right, so guys, that's all I have to say. All American Ford in Old Bridge, New Jersey is fantastic. One of the absolute best experiences I've ever had at a car dealership. I highly recommend them. Thanks for watching, guys. See you on the next one.